Hi, everybody from the cheap seats. I'm John Harris, flying solo today as the boys are on assignment. They did send us their picks, so we will go from there. Billy's in flight, I believe, on the way back or close to it, to returning home from checking out some situations down south in Louisiana. And Roger is running around getting details for the show. So the guys are busy, and Ethel says, exec producer Ethel says, just let them get their jobs done. They got things to do. Let's get that done. It'll make the show better in the long run. So we're letting the boys do that. They did send in their picks, as we said, and we're going to get ready to let them off right here. So a couple other sports things to talk about, of course, during the week. Two things that were kind of big in the sports world. One is Juan Soto, $765 million for 15 years. First, I was happy because it was like, it's not with the Yankees, because I'm a Red Sox fan, but it's also crap. It's with the Mets because I'm also a Phillies fan. So I'm like, I can't even get rid of this guy. Um, 15 years, that's a big commitment. It is the highest paid salary ever given to a professional athlete. So we'll see if he's worth it, but he may be to the Mets. And, it's something to worry about if the other teams, at least in that division. But it's one player, guys, and baseball's a team game. So let's see what happens. I mean, for a few years, the Angels had the best player ever in Mike Trout, but they couldn't get him to the postseason. Um, and they had the two best players maybe in the world in Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. Couldn't get him to the postseason. Only got Trout to the postseason once so far. So it's we got to see how much damage one player can do. But for the Mets, their owner's got them deep pockets, so they may not even be done yet. And I think they've made a couple other moves as well. Uh, so let's sit back and kind of watch the fun. The other big sports news this week is Bill Belichick, uh, the second all-time winningest coach in NFL history behind Don Shula. He's only like 15 games away, but because I believe he's just not getting bites from NFL teams, is returning to college football. He was an assistant coach at the collegiate level for a while in his early days. He's returning to the University of North Carolina. It's official, it's a done deal, and that'll be interesting to see as well. They let Matt Brown go uh, a few weeks ago, and negotiations with Belichick have been ongoing for a couple of weeks, and he finally signed, and they introduced him, and it's all official. Going to be interesting because with the new NIL situations and the transfer portals, some people think it is going to be more like an NFL situation. Only difference really is players can leave at will. Uh, Basically, you can enter the transfer portal if they say, Belichick's too tough. Um, or they just don't like something, they can leave and go somewhere else. But the uh, the big advantage is his focus, and the school agrees with it. Is he wants to make it like an NFL portal kind of a situation, train these guys to be ready for the NFL, and then he thinks that that will make UNC a better team. And that's a heck of a point. I mean, if you play up to your capability, you're going to be a better ball player, which is going to be great for your team. So it's going to be interesting to see who his assistants are. Is he going to? They've already hired a former NFL general manager in Mike Lombardi. He's probably going to be handling portal and transfer situations. The curious part is, will Bill Belichick go out and physically recruit people himself and go to college recruit homes and high school students' homes to introduce himself and say, you need to come to UNC? I don't know if I see that, but we'll watch it, monitor it, and let you know from the cheap seats what we think is going on and how it's going to work out. Hey, it worked for Dion, and it's working in Colorado. So maybe Belichick sees some good parts about that, plus what he's done over the years in the NFL. And as far as a coach, I don't know, X's and O's. I don't know if you can get any better than Bill Belichick. So let's see what happens. I mean, he's a little bit older in the tooth. He's in his 70s, but let's see what happens. Signed a 5-year deal. uh, to coach UNC. So let's see what happens. Uh, it's going to be interesting no matter what. Let's get back to our normal picks for the NFL season. At least it's week 15 coming up. Week 14. Let's go over the results for the guys. Uh, Billy was 8-4. Roger was, I'm sorry, Billy was 9-4. Roger was 9-4. I was 8-5. So in straight up picks, the guys beat me by a game. In odds, Billy had a tough week. 2-9-2, two pushes. We all had two pushes, of course. Roger 4-7-2. My week was 50-50 as well. Pretty much it was 6-5-2. So none of us set the world on fire. That makes the new totals. Bill at 66.5% in straight picks. Roger at 57.1% in straight picks. I'm at 65.9%. So Bill has a slight edge in straight up head to head picks. In games against the spread, Bill is 53.7%. So he climbed up a little bit. Actually, no, I apologize. He dropped a little bit. Roger dropped a bit too at 47.8%. And I dropped a little bit, dropped about half a percent. I'm still at 61.5%. So that's kind of fortunate with the kind of week that it was. Big games, the upsets, I think, well, you had a couple. How about the Rams winning Monday night when or I'm sorry, this past Thursday. That's coming up this week. The Chiefs held off the Chargers with as they say, the doink for the division. So Kansas City wins when a field goal hit off the left upright and went through to win the game. Last play of the game. Cincinnati beat up on Dallas. I thought Dallas would cover. They did not. Other situations, Niners were all over the Bears. I took Chicago to maybe beat the Niners because they're hurt, but nope, that did not happen. Uh, and when we take a look at what else happened during the week, uh, I took Carolina to cover against the Eagles, and that worked out. Roger and Billy did not. They thought Philly would cover. Carolina's playing a lot tougher, and the Eagles have a history of playing down to their level, to the team's level, no matter how bad or how good the team is. Uh, Pittsburgh won across the board. Both Billy and Roger had Cleveland covering. Uh, and that one I was worried about. I thought Cleveland might cover too, but they did not. It looked like they were going to, but Jalen had a tough, or Jameis Winston had a tough end of that game. Uh, and I think that was the only real upset of the week. It was, yep. So let's head to this week's picks. The guys, like I said, sent them in. We're gonna get through them. I'll give you maybe a quick analysis if there is one, but this could be a very short show, folks, and that's good for you guys so that Sunday morning you can watch us, get yourselves ready, and be ready to enjoy the games. Like we said, Thursday night was already in the books. Obviously, Billy and I both took the Rams to beat the Niners, which they did. Uh, Roger took San Francisco across the board. Obviously, that did not work out for him. The Rams are coming, and I think they're in pretty good shape to make the playoffs if as long as they keep going, and it looks like they will. Uh, but they have some tough division games coming up, so that's going to be big. Uh, Before we get rolling with the rest of the week, Elmer Dud here. I'm not even Elmer Fudd. I'm Elmer Dud. Duh. Uh, but it is early morning as we tape this, as we record this, and I am going to before we get started, I want to reach out and thank our sponsor uh, because he's been great to us, and it's that holiday time of the season. So go see him. Uh, he was there for the lighting of the Christmas tree in Vineland, New Jersey. That's my pal Dennison Graldi at Vineland Realty Corporation, 634 East Landis Avenue in Vineland, New Jersey. Their phone number is 856-690-9482. Make sure you go see Dennis and the crew. It's Gal Friday. Everybody, Helen is there as well. The staff, anything you need real estate wise, whether it's business, whether it's residential, whether you want to buy, whether you want to lease, you want to rent, you want to look into just the business portion of something. Let Dennis and his crew know, and they will work out the best situation for you. And if they can't, they will refer you to somebody that can. They have a lot of resources. So that's Vineland Realty Corporation, 634 East Landis Avenue, 856 690 9482. Thanks, Dennis. Thanks, crew. Let them know that you heard about them from the cheap seats here. And we want to thank everybody. Wish them guys a great holiday. And thank them for everything they do for us and everything they do for you guys in South Jersey. So go see them. That's Vineland Realty Corporation, 634 East Landis Avenue in Vineland, New Jersey. Now it's time to get to the Sunday pick, the nitty gritty, and Monday night, of course. Uh, First game on the list, Kansas City and Cleveland. Billy and I are both taking the Chiefs to win and cover. Roger thinks Cleveland might cover, but the Chiefs to win. It's tough for Roger. I know how that deal is. His heart's in Cleveland. It's where he grew up. So heart's there. And Cleveland has shown sparks, but boy, Jameis, one week is great, next week is bad. Last week was great for 3 quarters, then fourth quarter fell apart. Uh, Great attitude and a great guy to listen to after the game, press conference wise, but uh, and he takes accountability. But gosh, you really just wish he'd stop the mistakes. That would help Cleveland so much more. But and I think he had a chance to play himself into a spot next year to start there, but now I think he's stepped on his own foot, so as they say. Uh, Ravens Giants in the Meadowlands. Um, we like to call it Jimmy Hoffa Memorial Stadium because we think Hoffa's buried somewhere there. Actually, no, it was the old stadium. But uh, Ravens are picked by 16. That is by far the biggest spread of the week. And Billy still takes Baltimore, but win by more than that. Roger and I both think the Giants will cover, and they're going to lose, but that Baltimore will won't win by 17 or more. At least that's what I think. Could be way wrong, but we'll see what happens if the Giants can get a running game going. And Baltimore's defense isn't very good. Problem is the Giants' offense isn't very good. So, but the Giants may hang around and lose by 10 or 12, but I think the Ravens will win the game. Roger and I both think the Giants will hang around a little bit and make it a little tougher for Baltimore to win. They will win, but it'll be tougher. Washington goes to New Orleans. Billy's got Washington across the board. Roger has Washington to win the game. New Orleans to cover. The spread is 7.5, and I'm hesitant on this one as well as far as the spread. Um, but I think Jaden Daniels is starting to get healthy again, so I think Washington will pull away in the end. New Orleans is playing tough for their interim coach, but not quite tough enough, I don't think. I think it's going to be Washington covering that 7.5 point spread. Cincinnati goes to Tennessee. Tennessee has been showing signs of life lately. The spread is 5. I think Cincinnati will win it by more than 5. Billy does too. Roger thinks Tennessee might cover, and he might be right. They've been playing a lot tougher lately. Cincinnati's defense, again, is absolutely atrocious. Um, but Tennessee's offense isn't great either. So uh, I think I always say, and I think the other guys say it too, is that Vegas knows something. But I'm going to go ahead and think that Cincinnati will win by more than 5, probably a touchdown. Uh, and but Roger thinks Tennessee will cover, and he might be right. Of course, I guess you could say that about everybody. He might be right. It's why they play the game. So we'll continue on. Miami goes to Houston. The spread is 3. They're picking Houston by 3. I don't know why. And here's where the analytics versus eye test comes in. I don't think Houston is offensively is the threat everybody thinks they are. They've struggled on offense. They're going to win their division because their division isn't very good. Um, but I think you're going to see Miami win this game. They have a very slim shot at the playoffs. They got to play all out this game. And Two is a beast, whether you like him or not. He's a beast. I like him personally, and I like him more now than when he was going to enter the league because he's proven how tough he is. There are times you almost wish he didn't play because of the concussions and for his own safety, but he has met with a lot of people, his family, his medical professionals, not just team medical professionals, but personal ones too, um, and has gotten assurances that it's okay for him to play, I guess. At least that's how he feels. Um, I'm taking Miami. I think they have a better offense, and I think they'll score more points than Houston. It's only a 3-point spread, so I take them to cover. Roger and Billy are both taking Houston to win and to win by more than the 3-point spread. So uh, I think that'll be a tough game. Jets at Jacksonville. Um, Trevor Lawrence is out, and it looks like for the season again due to concussions, um, which means Mac Jones is your starter for Jacksonville. Billy's still taking Jacksonville. Uh, Roger and I are both taking the Jets. The spread is the Jets by 3. Man, I'll tell you, it's tough. I almost, if it was 3.5, I would probably, and like I said, I check these right before game time. If it goes to 3.5, you may see a quick post of some kind where I'm changing it because uh, Jacksonville could hang tough because the Jets haven't shown much. But I think that Brees Hall's returning for the Jets this week. So I think that's big for them. Get some running going as well. So Roger and I are taking the Jets to win and cover the 3-point spread. Billy's taking Jacksonville across the board. Dallas and Carolina. This is tough because Carolina is really playing a lot better than they were before. Dallas is kind of a dumpster fire. I mean, they have CeeDee Lamb. That's it. Dowdell looks good against bad teams. Carolina on offense isn't that bad. Even games they've lost, normally they've kept the score manageable. They just didn't have offense. Offense is kind of scoring some points. Bryce Young's looked a lot better since returning to the lineup for Carolina. Um, Billy's taking Dallas across the board. The spread is Carolina by 3. I'm going to double check that. I'm thinking it was Dallas by 3, but let me double check that for you folks because I'm a little suspicious of that. What I have here is Carolina picked to win by 3. Um, that just doesn't. It seems to me like that should be Dallas for some reason. So let's find out what the story is there. I'm going to double check it for you, like I said, and because obviously you want accuracy with these babies. So we're going to take a peek. The Chiefs and Browns. Oh, the Chiefs and Browns game went to 4.5 now instead of just 4, but I'm sticking with my pick. Let's just go down and, like I said, I'll be checking these again right before game time. It is Carolina. Now it's down to 2.5, but Carolina is the favorite. Uh, I'm going to make that change right there at 2.5. It's not going to change my pick at all. I'm going to stick with Carolina. And now I think they'll cover the 2.5. Billy's taking Dallas across the board. Rogers taking Carolina across the board. So we'll go from there. Indianapolis and Denver. In Denver, Mile High. The Chargers are picked by 4. They want to win to get themselves a better playoff spot. If they win today, they clinch a playoff spot. Indy's still fighting to get into the playoffs, but I don't think they have enough. I really am impressed with Denver and Bo Nix. Uh, their defense is good. So I like Denver by more than 4, and so does Roger. Billy likes Indy, and like we said about Roger earlier with Cleveland, that's where Billy's heart is with Indy. Um, but they're a pretty good ball club, but I just think it'll be not enough for them to beat Denver in Denver. Um, so there you have it. Billy's picking the Colts. Roger and I are both picking the Broncos. I've had trouble with this next game, which should be the game of the day, especially if you like shootouts. It should be Buffalo and Detroit. Detroit is picked by 2.5 as of right now. Um, Meanwhile, tough game. Both Detroit's defense isn't as strong as it was because of course, all the injuries, but they're scoring enough points to keep themselves winning. I mean, when you only got one loss on the season or two losses on the season, they only have one, I think. They're playing great football. As of right now, Detroit is still picked by that 2.5, and we all took Detroit across the board. Um, so I think I think it's gonna be a tough game, and I've toyed with this about taking Buffalo. I think if it was in Buffalo, I would take the Bills, but of course the spread would be different too. It'd either be an even or Buffalo by one, but I would still take the Bills if it was in Buffalo. But it's in Detroit. Now that they win, they get in big crowds. Tough place to play. Indoor stadium gets loud. I think Detroit's going to win this one as well. Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. This is also the other possible game of the day. Uh, Pittsburgh's playing to win their division. Philadelphia can win it. I believe they've already clinched a playoff spot, uh, but they want to win to clinch the division or get closer to clinching the division because the Commanders are right there with them, and they got to play them yet in Washington. So Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Eagles picked by 5.5. Had that controversy during the week. We're not passing the ball enough. AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts, having some differences in opinion. Devontae Smith joining with AJ Brown, but supposedly it's all ironed out now, and we'll see what happens. The big bet this week on like ESPN bet and places like that is will AJ Brown score a touchdown? Um, and of course, right now the betting is that yes, he'll score at least one touchdown. I'm not worried about that part. I'm more worried about wins and losses. Uh, Billy and I both, since it's 5.5, think the Eagles will win, but the Pittsburgh will cover. It might be a field goal game. Uh, Rogers taking Philly across the board. I think it's going to be a tougher game than that, Raj, but we'll see what happens. Even a touchdown makes it a close game, and Roger would win the bet. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, two of us are taking Pittsburgh to cover, but Philly to win. Um, and Rogers taking Philly to win and cover across the board. New England goes to Arizona. It's a 6-point spread for Arizona. Billy and I both think Arizona will win and win by more than that. Though Jake May is playing some pretty good football, he doesn't have enough weapons in New England. Um, Arizona's starting to come on, and they're playing for that division. They need it. They need it bad, and it's in Arizona. Uh, I don't know. I was tempted to take New England on the spread, but I'm not. I can't do that on the road. If it was in New England, I would. 6 points is kind of a big spread, but I'm gonna stick to my guns. Billy and I are taking Arizona. Roger is going to take New England against the spread. He's going to take Arizona to win the game in New England uh, to cover the 6 points. And like I said, I toyed with this one for a bit, so I'm not mad at him. I think that's a good that could be a good pick. So we move to L.A. and it is the Chargers and Tampa Bay. I was leaning toward Tampa Bay all week, but I can't do it after seeing the way the Chargers play. They're tough as nails. Their defense is tough, and I think they have an extra weapon or two than Tampa Bay does. Though I do like Baker Mayfield, but you gotta like Herbert too. He is hobbled playing with a uh, an injured ankle, but he's going to play. Obviously, not going to be 100%, but not that many players are this time of year. So Herbert's going to be in there. He's going to play. I think the Chargers are too much. The point spread's only 2.5, favoring the Chargers. I think they'll cover. Billy thinks they'll cover, and Roger thinks they'll cover. So, um, like I said, I did toy with this. I thought Tampa Bay, if I was going to take Tampa Bay, it would have been across the board. But I think the Chargers are playing really tough, and it's at home. So, and it's starting to turn to a home field advantage for the Chargers. Excuse me one second. There we go. Um, so I think it's going to be uh, the Chargers across the board, as does everybody else. Green Bay in Seattle. Seattle is Green Bay is picked. I'm sorry, by 2.5, which surprises me because it's in Seattle. Uh, I think Jordan Love's a little better quarterback than Geno Smith, but I think Smith has more weapons for Seattle. Um, so I'm going to take Seattle. Walker is out as running back for Seattle, but his replacement last week had more yards per game in the game, 193 yards, had the best week for a running back last week in all of the NFL. So I don't think much of a drop off there, if any. Um, and of course, you have Lockett, you have Metcalf. So Geno's got weapons. I think an extra weapon or two more than Green Bay, especially due to injuries at wide receiver. Um, so we're gonna go with I'm gonna go with Seattle across the board. So did Roger. Billy took Green Bay across the board, and it's gonna be a close game. So that is your Sunday night football game, and I think that's gonna make it a tough go for Green Bay if they don't win. For them to make the playoffs, they're in the wrong division this year. They could sneak in. It could be that third team from that division to get in, but it's going to be tough, I think, if they lose this game. Monday night, we have two games Monday night this week, folks. Chicago goes to Minnesota. The Vikings are picked by 6.5. Bears have played a little better lately since the coaching change, but I don't think enough to overcome the Vikings. Uh, Roger thinks Chicago will cover the 6.5 point spread, but it's in Minnesota. Jefferson and Darnold were on the same page. There's a guy, Darnold, who has shown that with the right coaching, he's as good as anybody in the league. What a season this guy's having! It's his seventh season. Yeah, he's only like I think it's his fifth season. He's only like 25 or 26, I think. He's still pretty young. So if he doesn't sign in Minnesota, which I think he's made his case to do that, he's on a 1 year deal. They could franchise tag him. He'd have another good season, salary wise, um, which would probably benefit him and the Vikings. Give JJ McCarthy, who they think is their future, a little more time to recover. Um, so that could happen for him. Or if they let him go, somebody's going to pick him up. And he's proven he is a good quarterback. You just got to get him in the right system, just like every other quarterback. Um, but he's proven he can play the game. Uh, so I like Minnesota across the board. So does Billy. Roger likes Minnesota to win, but he thinks the Bears somehow will cover. Um, and they may. You never know. But I just can't see it. And Atlanta goes to Vegas on the second Monday night game, our last game to discuss. We all took Atlanta across the board. Though Kirk Cousins is struggling, Vegas just in the old Caddyshack line, they're not good. Um, they're on a backup quarterback to the backup quarterback, I believe, at this point. Um, they have a great Max Crosby, by the way, is out for the season with an ankle injury that will require surgery. That's going to hurt the Raiders' pass rush as well. So I'm taking Atlanta. We all three are taking Atlanta. The spread is 4 points. I think it'll be maybe a 10-point win, if not more, for Atlanta. Excuse me. So big this week for the fellas. We will see what happens. And that includes me. A big week for the NFL. A lot of people playing for playoff position. We will see what happens. Uh, that's about it. Of course, remember you had the Juan Soto deal. That's going to make Major League Baseball interesting. A couple other deals, but after you're probably going to start seeing people signing now because now the bar's been set. Nobody's going to get anything close to that, but they're going to get increases that are might be more than they were expecting before because of Soto's deal. What it does for sports in general, or at least baseball in general, I've already discussed that. I have an episode about the tirades out there. If not, there'll be one soon. It's already been shaped. It's just Joe Blow at home can't afford to go to baseball games or football games. Uh, if so, they got to save up for one game a year, and that's just not that's not right. But they don't care. It's all about money, TV. Let's face it, TV is paying for Soto's salary basically. Uh, it's just it's out of control, I think. Do I like sports? Yes, obviously, or I wouldn't be filming this right now. But at some point, yeah, you can't, now you got to get four or five. It's, for instance, the Chiefs game, unless it's shown locally, it's Christmas Day on Netflix. I'm not going to get Netflix just to watch a football game. And I like Kansas City. I'm a Kansas City fan. I'm not going to do it. It was like last year. Wasn't going to go out and get Peacock just to watch a Chiefs playoff game. Because what they do is it's like drug dealing. They lure you in. Here's a little taste. You sign up for it. They're hoping for attrition, which happened a lot with Peacock. A lot of people didn't cancel it, so now they get their monthly fee. Or even if they didn't, they got a month out of people anyway. Uh, and of course, they put around great programming before and afterwards, or a lot of commercials to tell you what kind of great programs they have, so that you'll be tempted to stay on. It's just it is basically like a car dealer or a drug dealer thing. Here's a test ride. Here's a taste. If you and tell me if you like it, we'll make it available for you. So it's just it's out of control though because of the price ranges. People can't afford to do things anymore. Uh, you know, I used to have Sunday season ticket packages with somebody in Philadelphia when I lived back there. Can't afford to do that anymore. The prices are outrageous, and that was just Sunday games. They were affordable then. Now you could afford to go to a ball game last minute. Sometimes, if it wasn't a $40,000 or 40,000 person attended game, sometimes they had seats available, and you could afford to go. "Oh, I'm going to get a ticket at the window." Yeah, good luck with that now. So it's out of control. It's too expensive for the little guy, but the big guys don't care. Billionaires are playing millionaires, and pretty soon it's going to be billionaires paying billionaires. I mean, a $765 million contract, 5 or 10 years, there's going to be a player that's going to get $1 billion contract at least. So, but hair end at that. Of course, the other news that'll be interesting to watch for next season is the University of North Carolina. Um, and Bill Belichick is the new coach, and to see what happens starting next year. Remember, it's a changeover, so you gotta give a little room for that first year because if you're changing everything around in one season, you don't know how it's going to go. Could go great. It might be a transition year, but see what happens. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. There's other sports out there, but after those two big stories and the NFL coming up, there's nothing that's devastating. If you're a Philadelphia 76er fan, you're just like, why is our practice facility basically in a hospital bed? Uh, I haven't seen, injuries are like unbelievable. Even the guys playing are banged up already, and we're only in December, so it's trouble there. Um, some great stories getting ready to come out of the NBA, but it's early in the season. Same with hockey. It's early in the season. Um, I mean, yeah, watch a game, pay attention to them, but it's not near playoff time or worry about playoffs yet. So that's going to be it for us from the cheap seats here on Public John Media. Once again, thanks to Dennis Ingraldi and the crew at Vineland Realty Corporation, 634 East Landis Avenue in Vineland, New Jersey, 856-690-9482. Thanks, Dennis. Thanks to everybody there. Happy holidays, everybody. We should be talking to you, yes, one more time before the Christmas games. Uh, like I said, I probably won't watch them because they're on Netflix, those two games. But we'll still go through and pick all our games for next week. For Roger and Billy, who are both on assignment, we hope they can rejoin us next week. Uh, Let me just say thank you, folks. If you don't tune into us, or if you're too busy for the holidays, happy Merry Christmas, or whatever holiday it is you celebrate, and we hope everything works out for you and you get what you're asking Santa for. So we will talk to you soon. Have a great week, everybody. From the cheap seats, I'm John Harris for Billy and Roger and Dennis and the crew at Vineland Realty. Have a great week. Enjoy the games, everybody.